Welcome, welcome! This is Mud Dog with the Texas Space Navy bringing you another Star Citizen video. And today we're going to talk about the Banu. The Banu is an interesting species. It's the first interstellar species that humanity ever had contact with. At least that has been recorded in both of our histories. So back in 2438, nav jumper Vernon Tarr was in the Davian system looking for different jump points, and he picked up a contact. He assumed it was another explorer, and he opened fire on him, which he shouldn't be doing, but he did it anyways. And actually, it was an alien vessel. So he got scared and called in the, at that time, UNESOC. And a party was rushed to the scene, and there was like a formal meeting between the Banu and the UNE back then, the humanity. And a few weeks later, there was a full delegation set up, and by October 2438, Interstellar Peace and Trade Accord was signed with the Banu to begin to trade technology to help each other expand throughout the universe. Once the Banu started expanding throughout the galaxy, they right now they have 7 systems that we know of: Bacchus, Geddon, Gliese, Kins, Ophos, Tris, and Yulin. And when they started getting bigger and bigger, they decided to come up with the Banu Protectorate. It is pretty much what it is. It's a bunch of planet states. So each planet has their own little government that runs it, and then they elect a leader that will go and meet with the leaders of all the other planets and come up with some common things for the species, some common laws or common things to go by. So the Banu also have a couple of different hubs. They don't really have a home world because the Banu don't really put a prime on history. In other words, they don't care about history. All they care about is what's the best right now. And if it's not better than what it was before, then they don't care. If it is better than what was before, they discard what was before and go to the new design or the new thing. And they just forget about it. So there's no history per se in the Banu Protectorate. The closest thing that the UEE can come to thinking is the homeworld of the Banu would be Bacchus 2. And that's because it definitely has some ancient Banu stuff there, but they also do something called a gathering where all the leaders meet. They will only meet on Bacchus 2. They don't meet anywhere else. So whenever the leaders of each planet state decide they want to come together or get together, it's going to be on Bacchus 2, and it's called the Gathering. And that's where they debate and discuss all the legal and trade issues that affect the entire, empire, if you want to call it that, protectorate. Otherwise, everything else is left to their own. It does have a religious world, you could say, in the Tris system. That's where the council resides, and it's responsible for all the social and moral dictums that define Banu society. And their calling requires a pure objectivity when dealing with anything Banu. So they're separated from the entire rest of the race so that they can do what needs to be done to make sure that there is a true, pure, what do you want to call it, moral guideline for everybody to follow, which, Banu don't really have morals, as humans would call it. They do worship Kasa, which is the patron of luck, and Turnin, the great traveler. Those are their, 2 deities within their religion. They also worship money. Anything money, money, money. So they love all sorts of culture and money and tradition, but it binds it all together. They're very vibrant, and all their worlds are dangerous. with criminals and nobles all brushing shoulders in all the same marketplaces. But you can find anything that can be found in the known verse in a Banu marketplace. And you can buy it if you have enough credits. The population centers are always built around some sort of central marketplace. The history says that this is most likely how the Banu society started to take place and cities were born, was that these people would meet at crossroads, and when they came across these crossroads, they would have all these serious negotiations that would take hours, days, weeks, and even months to go through. And so they would have these little temporary settlements. Well, the more popular those crossroads got, the more people would end up coming in for these different trades and negotiations. So it kept growing. And then there became permanent residents because they found they could make money off of being permanent residents of these crossroads. So the Suli was born. The Suli is kind of like a guild, if you want to say that, if you want to call it that. This is everything as far as a family unit or a corporation in Banu society. The Suli it does both. So it is a skilled labor union group that the Banu learn how to deal with from an early age. So if your Suli is in charge of ship manufacturing, you will learn how to manufacture ships from a young age, and I mean that's going to be your skill and trade. That's what you will do in your Suli. Your Suli will be one of the best at it, or you will be absorbed into a different Suli. A lot of times as a slave, because the Banu do love slavery. One of their top slave markets is on Kins 2, which also has some of the best Xeno alien artifacts and buildings and whatnot, engineering there that predates any Banu. So Kins 2, dangerous place for humans to go without some sort of security, because they could end up in the slave markets. Like I said, the Banu, they don't really have a thought too much on crime. Mostly it's handled by individuals, or there may be a Suli that does mostly the crime investigations or security forces. A lot of criminals that go into Banu space, they will go from one planet to another because there's not much communication between the planets. Criminals can easily flee one place and go to another to avoid any kind of prosecution. Same thing for human criminals. They will flee across UEE borders into Banu space so that they can get away, because the UEE is not allowed to chase them across Banu borders. So the advocacy on occasion will have to send in undercover agents to kidnap and bring back fugitives. That does happen, and really the Banu don't care that much. Because they just don't think about the stuff like that as much. As long as they're not losing a profit off of it, they don't care. There's a lot of fun places to go in Banu systems. As I said, Bacchus 2 is an archipelago. Wow, I can't even say that. With a bunch of islands, and it's a vast ocean world. It's supposed to be one of the prettiest Banu worlds out there. If you fancy a little bit more danger, you can visit the arcologies of Geddon 1. It's a beautiful desolation of geologically active volcanic mountains and stuff. You can see how the mining Sulis harvest all the planetary resources and trade goods. Then there's Gliese 4, which is kind of like what an uninhabited planet would look like, though it's not uninhabited. It's perfectly habitable for humans and Banu, but I think there's all sorts of interesting wildlife there. And of course there's Kins 2, which has all the really ancient buildings and infrastructure there, but also houses a lot of the Banu engineering Sulis and their slave markets. So what do you do if you go into Banu space? Well, most of the Banu, they spend part of their time working and part of their time relaxing. They almost think relaxing is as important as working. There's a lot of different places to go within the Protectorate for that. There's all the marketplaces, of course, that you can go and shop and find all sorts of little trinkets and doodads. They love sports, especially Sata Ball, which is presented to them by humans. They love gambling. You can win all sorts of goods and whatnot by doing games of chance in their gambling halls. So there's several different interesting places that you could go if you find yourself on a Banu world. There's also merchantmen. What are merchantmen? Well, merchantmen are, and these trade ships are capable of landing and docking, inviting locals onto into the cargo holds, and they have shops set up right there. And this ship design has been perfected over generations by Banu engineers. It's intended to offer both a combination of high speed and durability, and the merchantman is a little less configurable than a Caterpillar or a Starfarer, but there's plenty of room to take the ship in all sorts of different directions. So Banu traders are renowned for their merchant prowess, traveling the space lanes, trading with everybody from humans to Vandal. So these ships are the backbone of that trading. They are massive. They're beautiful, if you ask me. They have a huge cargo capacity, and I believe, now this is just my theory, it's not based off of much more than, like I said, what I think we're going to see, because they haven't put the merchantman in the game yet. It's still a concept. I believe we're going to have two different variants. Why do I think that when they've only sold one? Okay, well, originally it was sold having a huge cargo capacity. This thing was going to be some sort of blockade runner, intended to be able to punch through any kind of blockades, whether it's Banu, human, Vandal, whatever. So it had the guns, it had the shield power and capacity, and it also had the cargo capacity to be able to run blockades and make it worth running. So when they got their destination, they could offload those supplies. More recently, we have seen indications that the Banu merchantman would be more of a marketplace ship, kind of like the Kraken privateer, where there are like 8 to 10 shops aboard the ship, and people can come on board and shop your wares. So the reason why I think there's going to be two variants is plain and simple. We've seen two different versions of the Banu merchantman talked about. Yes, things can change a lot during production. Maybe they decided to change to the latter because they didn't like the former, but I really think that we're going to end up with two different variants of this ship. It is supposed to be somewhat modular as far as being compared to something like a Caterpillar. It's not as modular, but they did say it would be. So my guess is we're going to have two variants. I hope we do. I think that would be really cool. It'd be really cool to have a blockade runner of that size. It would also be really cool to have a marketplace ship like that, a traveling mall. Although if you've got the Kraken privateer, you may not want the Banu merchantman. I don't know. They both serve different purposes. The privateer is going to be better in space, whereas the merchantman will be better on planet surfaces because it has nowhere for people to, land. Kraken has landing platforms for everybody, or landing pads for everybody to land on. So that's kind of what I think. I hope we see that, but maybe not. You guys let me know down below in the comments if you think we will end up with some sort of variation on the Banu merchantman. The other kind of ship that they use is the Defender, the Banu Defender. It's a small two-seater, It's a pretty neat ship. You can see it in this video throughout. I like the design texture of the metal. This thing is kind of like a crab ship, if you ask me, because it looks like a crab. Pretty neat in that regard. It does have 4 singed tachyon cannons. It uses Tavaran shields, Shion thrusters. That's the bread and butter of the Banu. They take what they like the most and they will pull it into their own design. So they liked the Tavaran Phalanx shields, so they decided they would take it in along with the Oxus composite armor. They liked the Shion engine design, so they decided to take it and use it for their own stuff. You know, so they've got all sorts of different influences in everything they do, and nothing shows this more than the Defender, the Banu Defender. So, really cool ship. Check it out. And, yeah, guys, that's the Banu in a nutshell. So, tell me what you think about the video down below. Hit the like button if you like the video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed before. Really appreciate everybody that's been watching my videos here of late. And I appreciate everybody that watches those ads and clicks on the ad icon that usually pops up in the corner of the video. That really helps me out a ton. I'm trying to grow this channel, and you know, that's one way I get revenue from it, which I don't get a whole lot as of yet because I'm not a huge YouTuber. Hopefully one day you guys will get me there, and we'll make some money off of it, and I'll be able to bring something back to the community that got me there. That's my hopes anyways. So again, guys, thank you so much. I'm Mud Dog with the Texas Space Navy, and I'll see you out in the verse.